It's about, yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what you said. It's about being uncomfortable because you cannot go far if you are only in your comfort zone. We all know that. If you want to go to the next level, you have to do things that you have never done, and the things that you've never done are uncomfortable. But that doesn't mean stress. That doesn't mean high cortisol level all the time.
Are you feeling wildly successful on paper, yet secretly stuck? I am so excited today because mindset coach Helia Oghani is here with us. She was trained not only by another Bob Proctor, which is super amazing. I love Bob Proctor's work. And she joins us today to reveal why overwhelming lingers in people's bodies and how to rewrite those beliefs so you can finally run your life and move forwards. Helia, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Now, you said we're literally creators. Why do so many high achievers feel secretly like they're falling?
Many different reasons, but it's the things that most high achievers are struggling with is stress, too much stress, overworking, not having a balanced life, and sometimes doing things that they think they should do, but it is not really in alignment with who they are. Be they're stuck in a business or kind of industry that they don't necessarily enjoy, but that's all they know, and they think they have to stay there, not being really satisfied and fulfilled with what they do and just doing it because of the money. So those are just a few reasons, but there is much more.
Now, when you think about somebody who is looking for balance versus looking for high performance, there's two different sides on that scale. You've got the people who say there is no balance in success, and you have the other people who say you can find balance in success.
Mm-hmm.
Help me walk through those different beliefs.
I love that. So basically, there is two ways of living. One way is not having a balance and working hard and hustling and grinding. That will get you the result. That's one way of living. The other way of living is what I teach. And you mentioned my mentor, Bob Proctor. That's understanding how the mind really works, understanding the conscious and subconscious mind, understanding subconscious programming and removing your limiting beliefs, understanding the laws of the universe and getting the results, but in a more aligned way, in flow, having joy and having flow and having fun and not struggling, not grinding. Then that's up to you, which one you choose. Both ways are available. A lot of people don't know about the second way. They think success comes only with grind and struggle, which is not true. I'm in a beautiful environment with other coaches at Bob Proctor. We all work in flow and not many hours a day. And some of them, I'm not still there. Some of them makes millions of dollars a year working only few hours a day.
Yeah, the grind culture has been really strong lately. And this is sort of antithesis to that. What would you say to somebody who said, they are getting tired of the grind, they're not seeing the results? And what would be that tipping point to help them realize that there's another way?
Realize that it is not necessary to grind. That's an old model. That's an absolutely old model. Understand the law of attraction, which is a secondary law, actually. The law of attraction is a secondary law. If you watch the movie The Secret, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know, go watch it. But it is a very limited version of how we really create. So the law of attraction is the secondary law. The primary law is actually the law of vibration. It means everything vibrates. Absolutely everything, that even a piece of rock, if you put it under a strong microscope, you will see that it vibrates. Nothing is still in this world. There is this whole world. Bob always said we live in an ocean of motion. Everything is vibrating on different levels of frequency. Based on, and we too, including our whole being, we are vibrating on a certain frequency at any time during the day. What is the law of vibration? Another meaning for the law of vibration when it comes to human beings is our emotions. So based on how you are feeling at any given moment, you are attracting or repelling different things, people, situation, and circumstances to yourself. You're attracting different things based on how you're feeling, and that is called the law of attraction. And it is not just happy feeling. It is not just feel happy and then all your problems will be solved. It is much deeper than that. I don't know how much time we have. We can go over it later. But It is that for the person who's tired of grind and hustle, you need to understand that there is much more to life, much more than what we observe with our five senses. And one of those things is what I just mentioned about the law of vibration and law of attraction, and understanding that you are, first of all, a human being, not a human doing. So how are you being? Like right now, ask yourself, how do you feel? How do you feel in your body? And that's how you attract.
And that's a good question. I think you can probably think about moments where things just seem to be going well and you don't really know why. And you could probably think about moments where it doesn't matter what you do, just things just aren't going your way.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be something along that alignment?
Yes, and I can give you a story about my own life. I've been such a hard worker, high achiever, type A personality, because I moved from Iran, my country, to Canada. Well, actually, I moved to Portugal first, and then I moved to Canada on my own. My whole family back home. So I had to manage my life on my own. I had to work, make money, be responsible for myself. And that, I think, put me in that A-type masculine energy. And I carried that with myself, even up until recently, to be honest. And then I got into real estate, and real estate is just like a doggy dog, like competing with sharks. And then I moved into coaching, and Bob is teaching us to flow and understand energy and vibration. And I don't get it. And I still keep working and hustling, and it is not working. I'm sure there are people who are watching this. I just had a conversation before this call with someone else, one of my colleagues, working really, really hard, being exhausted and not getting the results. And that was me up until very recently. It is not about working hard. It never is about working hard. It is about what's going on in your mind. So if I work hard and hustle and grind, but in my subconscious programming, I have limiting beliefs about money. I have a belief that it is hard to make money. It will always be hard to make money. If I have a belief that money doesn't grow on trees, or it's hard to make money, or we have to suffer, this is going to be my story, no matter how many industries I change, how many different licenses I get, how many different certificates I get. So it all comes down to what is going on in your subconscious mind. Fix that, and then you don't need to work hard. Experiencing it in my own life, and it is so beautiful, and it all starts with a belief. So anyone who's watching this, you have to cultivate the belief. Just literally brainwash yourself. Tell yourself, I believe I can be successful and make millions of dollars without hard work and struggle and hustle and grind. You still need to put in the work, but it doesn't need to be hustle.
What if you combine the two, just spitballing here, that if I really do like the hustle and I really do like the grind, but I fix the mindset and I get things in a way that I have clarity around purpose, my connection to people, I have my vibration in check, and do you get an amplifying effect by combining both rather than saying or? You could say and.
You can say, and I just want to make sure we understand that it's not necessary to hustle and grind, but if you love and enjoy what you're doing, and you're not suffering and you're not compromising other areas of your life, you still spend time with your family, you still spend time with your friends, you still develop different hobbies, and you understand that it is not necessary to put in many, many hours. There's another way of living. That's what I just wanted to make it clear. But if you enjoy what you do, I don't think it's called hustle and grind anymore.
Yeah, I mean, for example, if I applied to, say, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that's one of my favorite things to do. And, it is a grind a lot of the times because you're getting beat up or you're beating somebody up. And it takes years to master that skill. And it takes a lot of repetition to build that into the framework for your success. Are you saying that you can skip some of that stuff, or are you saying that you can integrate with?
I guess what I am talking about more is spending a lot of time and thinking that I need to work long hours to become successful. But yes, of course, when we're talking about like martial arts or jiu-jitsu or anything like that, it doesn't come with ease. Nothing comes with ease. We have to be out of our comfort zone. That's for sure. But you don't need to be out of your comfort zone 24/7. That's what I mean. You can be uncomfortable for a short period of time. Be focused, be determined, And then for the rest of the time, really work on your mindset. Even when you're talking about, sorry to cut you off, when you're talking about athletes and sports, we know that the most successful athletes are the ones who use their mindset right. The ones who use their, I don't know, there are so many of them. I can't come up with a name right now. A lot of professional athletes, they use visualization techniques before any game. So that's a mindset work. They still do their practices.
Yeah.
They use their mindset work as well.
Yeah, I think they embrace the grind on their training. But when they do, it's interesting. There's a lot of new philosophy around how training is being done. I was just talking to a friend of mine who does marathon running. What they do is instead of running at, level 3 where their heart's like always pounding all the time when they're training, they're actually trying to train so that they run at a lower level on a longer basis. So they're not operating at a high degree of stress all the time when they're doing the training. They're operating at a lower degree of stress, and they can actually perform a lot better. In the jiu-jitsu world, we do the same thing. I mean, most of our training is at 50 to 60% of impact. And then when you go to a tournament, it's just built into your DNA.
It's about, yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what you said. It's about being uncomfortable, because you cannot go far if you are only in your comfort zone. We all know that. If you want to go to the next level, you have to do things that you have never done, and the things that you've never done are uncomfortable. But that doesn't mean stress. That doesn't mean high cortisol level all the time.
So how do you get people comfortable with being uncomfortable, but not putting themselves in a position of stress?
It's about understanding that being uncomfortable doesn't mean stress. What does it mean to be uncomfortable? What does it mean to be outside of your comfort zone? It means you're doing something that you have never done before. Riding a bike was uncomfortable at some point. Learning how to drive a car was uncomfortable at some point. Like, there's so much things you had to do at the same time and paying attention to so many different details. It was uncomfortable. It doesn't mean hard work. And it's all about awareness. It's all about understanding that if you want a better life for yourself, it means you have to do different things. And those different things are the things that you haven't done before. So it's exactly like learning how to ride a bike or driving a car. At first, it's uncomfortable because it's new. That's it. It's uncomfortable because it's new. And then you learn it and it becomes second nature. And then you have a bigger goal, and then you repeat the whole process again.
Yeah, I think constantly living in a state of discomfort is a constant state of growth. But I do agree that if it's tempered rather than always stress. I had one person say to me once, they said, when you're under stress, you're making urgent decisions. Mm-hmm. When you're not under stress, you can make important decisions. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Stress. And sometimes we have to recognize the difference between stress and excitement. Because sometimes, actually most of the time, they both create the same kind of feeling in our body. And we are excited for something new, for example, but we think it is stress and we don't continue. That's why so many people, they want a better life. They want more money. They want growth, but they feel that stress or excitement and they back off. But it is about understanding that as human beings, we have intuition. You can use your intuition to come up with answers to your questions. You don't need to come up with answers under stress. You can never come up with the best answer under stress, and you will always come up with the best answers under using your intuition.
No, it's interesting you say that, because I think back to, high school or whatever. That was a little while ago. Or any of these things where somebody's got a deadline, what you find is they don't do any work, but the pressure of the deadline forces them to get the work done. And there's a lot of people who say their best work comes out of that stress moment. How can you help them get out of that thing? Because frankly, it's not a successful way of thinking.
It's so funny because that was me, and maybe that's still me. I can resonate with that. Like deadline, under pressure, I get things done. But you know what it is, Steve? It is like everything else. It's a mindset shift. It is a programming. So I was, since childhood, for whatever reason, I developed this mindset and this programming that I work better under stress. And because I developed that belief, maybe observing that this happened once, and then I really believed in that belief, And then I operated that way for my whole life. But I can literally tell myself, it is not, is that true? So I want everyone to question your beliefs, actually. Question your beliefs. When you reevaluate your beliefs, you find out a lot of our beliefs are not truth. Is that true? Do I have to really only function under stress? Can I function in a better way? Can I enjoy my life and still be successful? It is constantly asking yourself questions. We don't ask questions enough. And when we do, unfortunately, a lot of people ask only limiting questions. Why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? Why me? Poor me. Questions are very powerful. When whatever question you ask yourself, the mind come up with answers. So ask powerful questions. Why am I believing in this? Can I believe in a different thing? Do I know people who do a complete opposite thing that I do and they're successful? But one of the questions that I love to ask myself is that, why am I so successful? Why do people love to work with me? Why am I attracting clients all the time? And then your mind is going to go find those answers.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they focus on like, and it's a sales thing too, that you think about it. They talk about pain points all the time. There was a fellow who came on my podcast a little while ago, Phil M. Jones. He talks about exactly what you're saying, which is truths, is that people have truths inside them. And some of the truths are truths that have legitimate empirical data. And then other truths are truths that are unsubstantiated. And so the idea is our job is probably to go look through them and really do an analysis and see which are actually real and which are not.
One major truth that I always love to talk about is understanding who we really are. I'm not my name. I can change my name. I actually have changed my name on all my documents. When I was 18, I told my parents, with all due respect, I don't like my name and I want to change it. So you're not your name. You are not your body. You moved into your body and you're going to move out of your body. You're not what you do. You can change what you do. Who are you really? Just ask yourself who you are. You are energy. You want to call it soul. You want to call it source. You are infinite being. You are energy. You're infinite intelligence living in this human body, experiencing a human life. This is the only truth. If we can understand that and we can remind ourselves that each and every moment of every day, that I am so powerful. I am infinite. I have infinite power that I haven't tapped into yet, because of my limiting beliefs, because of whatever programming. That's the only truth you need to tap in every day. Then you understand that you're more powerful than your circumstances. You're more powerful than your problems. You have talents and abilities within you that you cannot even use all of it for even 10 lifetimes. It reminds me of the story of this woman who, her son, I don't know how old of a son, was stuck under a car somehow. And this little woman, she lifts up the whole car on her own. And then reporter asks her, how did you do that? And she says, I have no idea. I don't know how I did that. She didn't even know she had that power, but she did it when she had to. So we are full of power, talent, ability, resources that we haven't developed yet. We are powerful, powerful beings. We are the highest form of creation on the planet Earth.
I think that's really important for people to think about when they're going through transition in life, because, some people, I had a friend actually who was at the gym. She had lost her job and she was completely distraught about it.
Yeah.
And she didn't really like where she worked. She was losing hours. She was getting, wasn't making the best income, didn't have a lot of benefits and that sort of thing. And she felt like that door, as soon as that closed, her whole world was falling apart. Where because she'd lost her job, she now got then a call the next day from another doctor's office who said, hey, by the way, we heard what happened. Can you come over here? Now she's getting more hours. She's getting paid more. She's got more opportunity. She's doing greater, bigger things, because she let the world kind of reach out to her and say, hey, I'm open for business here, rather than shutting the door and saying, oh, poor me. And I think there's something to be said about that, where you set that mindset like that. And I don't know the words as to how you would put that together. What would you say to somebody who went through that first step to allow them to know that there's a second step around the corner?
I love that story so much. If someone loses their job, first thing that comes to my mind, I might not tell them because they might not be in the space to receive it. First thing I tell them is congratulations. Universe has something better for you. Universe, God, whatever you want to call it, always has something better for you. So that person who lost her job, at some point she was not happy with what she was doing and she wanted something more. And the universe said, your wish is my command. So I'm going to take your job so you can have space for a new job. And actually this is a spiritual fact. This is another truth. Whenever you're going through a hard time, whenever you lose something, a job, a relationship, it is because the universe wants something better for you. That's every single time. The only reason why you don't get that something better is because you stay in victim mentality and you stay in a lower vibration. That's it. If you can somehow, with the help of a mentor, a friend, somehow tap out of that victim mentality and be excited for the unknown, be excited for what universe has for you in store, believe me, in a very short period of time, something amazing is going to come to your life that you had never even could think about. We have to be more open to unknown. We have to get out of our logical mind, planning things and micromanaging everything, because we don't know what the universe has for us, which is always much better and bigger. We can't even think about. Be open. And everything I say is because I have experienced it in my personal life. I've experienced it. As soon as I think about, I want something better, my whole life rearranges. I lose things, I lose people, I lose friends, relationships, everything goes to hell. But now I get excited because I know that's the only way. Imagine your closet. If you don't get rid of your clothes that are in your closet already, you don't have enough space to buy more new amazing outfits. Sometimes we don't do that. Sometimes we don't quit the job because we are scared, and the universe does it for us. Sometimes we don't leave the toxic relationship because we're scared or we're too comfortable or because of the finances or kids, and the universe does it for us. So if you have lost something, and I'm not talking about losing like death or loved ones, that's a very sensitive topic. But if you have lost a relationship or friendships or a business or job or even money, try to get really excited, because based on your energy, based on your vibration and emotion, the more you get excited and appreciating and be grateful and have faith and trust that something better is coming, the sooner you will get that better thing.
It makes me think about that person who was on the island, and this boat came up to rescue him, and then he said to the captain, I'm okay, my God's gonna save me. And then the helicopter comes in and he says, no, I'm good, God's gonna save me. And the submarine comes up and says, no, God's gonna save me. And then he dies on that island and goes up to heaven. He says, God, like, why didn't you save me? And God said, well, I sent you a boat, I sent you a helicopter, I sent you a sub. Like, why didn't you take one of those things? So the idea around that principle is positive thinking enough, or is there something more that needs to happen?
Yeah, people think it is about being happy and positive thinking. And if I'm happy, then I can manifest anything I want. It's not about being happy. It is about the whole mindset programming. Like, what is going on in your head? What is the programming? What is the subconscious programming? It is about right thinking, thinking truth. It's not just about being happy. There are so many happy people who are poor because they have limiting beliefs about money. Then there are rich people who are happy. There are rich people who are sad and miserable. So happiness is just a state of being. You can be happy in any situation. You can develop that ability to be happy in any situation. How do you get to your goals? By understanding what is your paradigm. So Bob Proctor calls it paradigm. It's a multitude of your subconscious beliefs. One of the big part of that subconscious belief that gives you, causes you to get the results that you get in your life is your self-image, identity. So identity is a very big part of what I teach. It is about who you are and not how you show up in public, not the way you look like. It is about within yourself, within your head, when you're on your own, when no one is around, what do you think about yourself? How much self-worth and value do you have for yourself? Self-worth is a big part when it comes to money, fulfillment, even for relationships. People who suffer in terms of finances and relationships, they usually don't have a really deep sense of worth and love, self-love. So there is so much more than just feeling happy. It's about how you think, really.
Yeah, happiness is the conundrum, because I think people who chase happiness probably miss out on something. And I wanted to get your perspective on this, because we talked earlier about the idea of the hustle, the grind, and that sort of thing. I'm going to change hustle and grind to purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to connect that to fulfillment, and then take fulfillment away from happiness and put those in two different camps. Because I think happiness is something where you can almost have an unearned privilege of happiness. I listened to a funny joke. I didn't earn the privilege. I just witnessed somebody else being funny. I laugh. Whereas if I worked really hard and achieved something of magnitude, I get fulfillment. And that generally comes through hard work. And so I wanted to see your belief around hard work and that connection to fulfillment versus a connection to happiness.
Yes, very good point. So fulfillment is actually lasting. It lasts longer. It is deeper. Happiness can be short term, exactly as you give the example of somebody saying a joke and you laugh and you're happy for 2 seconds. But fulfillment, being content, is deeper, and it is definitely related to purpose. One of the things that I learned from my mentor is, as human beings, we are actually all supposed to grow all the time. We're not supposed to be stagnant. That's where sadness comes. That's where depression comes in, being stagnant. And actually, no one is stagnant. You're either growing or disintegrating. If you're not growing, don't ever think for a second that you're staying still. There's no staying still. You're going backwards. The depression comes in and diseases and so much more. So the whole nature is always growing and expanding. The whole galaxy is always growing and expanding. We are part of this whole system. We have to grow and expand. How do we grow and expand? Through having a purpose. And sometimes when I talk about purpose, people get confused because they feel like, well, I don't know how to change the world. Your purpose doesn't have to be changing the world. Your purpose is whatever you feel like you want to do. You can be like, your purpose can be being a great dad or being a great mom. And so that's the very first thing. We all need to have a purpose, a goal, something that stretches us, something that we haven't done before. And it really makes us excited when we think about it. And then going through that process, achieving that goal, achieving that purpose, helps us to grow and expand. And that is what gives us so much fulfillment and joy. That expansion gives us fulfillment. Again, we're going to be out of our comfort zone because we're doing new things that we've never done before. If we're going after a goal and purpose that we haven't had before, does it mean hard work and grind and work 16 hours a day? No, I don't believe that. I do not buy into that. It is not necessary. You need to do some things that are out of your comfort. Like, for example, for me, when I was in real estate, I didn't know anything about sales. I had to learn sales. It was uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit in front of someone, persuade them to list their home with you while there are 10 more other agents. And I was not a salesperson before, so it was uncomfortable for me. I practiced my sales script. I did role play with other real estate agents. But did I work like 16 hours a day? No, it doesn't have to be long hours. It doesn't have to be sacrificing your life. It is going to be 1 hour or 2 hours being uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think again, when you're Gary Keller, actually, when we talk about real estate, he wrote a book called the MRA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about creativity versus stability. And And he looks at it as like a triangle where creativity is the point and stability is the base. And if you have the triangle sitting upside down so that the point is on the ground, it rocks all around and you don't know where it's going to land. Whereas if you flip it around the other way and you create the base being the stability and you build creativity off of that stability, that allows you to do bigger and better things because you're working from a framework of success, a stable base. And when we look at somebody who's going through, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, if they actually have that stable base such that they know that it might rock a little bit, it's not going to completely fall over. Do you think that puts them in a better situation? Or do you think it's that person who gets dropped in the forest, they've got nothing around them, and they got to fight to survive? Who's going to have the better situation? Who's going to be able to find success?
Is it the same as like, do we burn our boats or not? Is that what you're talking about?
Ships, yeah, that's actually a great. Yeah, so maybe describe burning the ships and then use that as a.
I think, honestly, I think it has to do with different personalities. For me, what works for me the best and what I have done in my life is I burn the ships. And I don't recommend that to everyone because it disturbs your nervous system. It's not the most fun thing to do. I've done that many times in my work, in my career. I left my 9 to 5 and I started real estate. And I didn't have both at the same time. I quit my real estate. I started my coaching. That's how I function. If I have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I know that I'm going to drag that for years and years, and I'm never going to jump, or it takes too long, and it doesn't work for me this way. I have to really burn all the bridges and jump in and risk. And then that's how I function and I work and I put my everything and my focus. But for some people, it doesn't work this way, and it doesn't have to be. For a lot of people, I know someone who I helped recently, kept their job, and they started to slowly has a side hustle and then grow that a little bit over a few months and then leave their job when they feel that stability. So I think it depends. Each person and personality and how it works for different people is different.
I think that's a really good perspective. I admire you for saying that, because a lot of people say that there's one way to do things and it's the way that they're trying to promote. It's just, you see this in the health space, with I'm going to go keto, or I'm going to be vegan, or I'm going to go caveman, or, whatever all these little health crazes are. And, I think people's bodies are different.
Absolutely.
I mean, for me, the one that I hear all the time is I only sleep 4 to 5 hours a night. And people say, oh, that's super unhealthy. Like, well, maybe it is for you. I mean, maybe it isn't for me. I don't need the same amount of sleep you do. I mean, when I turn 90 or whatever and I croak, and I could have lived to 92 because I decided to sleep an extra hour a day, who cares? But the idea is right now, like, I don't need it.
I'm so glad.
And so I don't believe that there is one cut for everybody.
Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that. There are a lot of people who are hung up on the idea of being a vegetarian, or some people that hate vegetarians. And I always say, like, my niece was asking me a couple of weeks ago, because I'm not eating meat that much. She said, so are you a vegetarian now? And I said, I never label myself. I don't feel like eating meat right now. I might eat it next month. Who knows? I just listen to my body. And same thing for sleep. I can't function like you. I need minimum 7 hours, ideally 8 or sometimes 9 hours of sleep. You have to listen to your body. Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things that I just mentioned earlier. Intuition. Use your intuition. Listen to your body. Don't go out, just listen to everyone. One of the mistakes that people do is they keep asking everyone else what to do. No one else is exactly in your body. No one else feels you. No one else has your DNA. No one else has your background. Don't ask people, what do you think I should do for my business? Don't ask people, do you think I should leave this person or stay with this person? This is the biggest mistake that people do. Never ask someone. You can ask an expert for their opinion, but still at the end of the day, I believe you have to make the final decision based on your own intuition, because we are all so unique.
Yeah, I think too many times what people do is they outsource their agency to their friends, their family, or somebody who's what they deem as an authority. And that is at the heart of a victim mindset, is that you are not in control. They are. You have to retain agency. You have to retain control. Now, if somebody's listening to this and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, they're feeling like overwhelmed, they're feeling stuck, they're feeling that they're not hitting their potential. I want one concise thing to close off the episode that they could do right now as they're listening to this before they fall asleep that could put them in a path to success. What's the one thing?
First of all, you shouldn't be doing anything in the 2 a.m. in the morning. You should be only meditating. Hopefully you're just listening and not watching, because if you're watching the screen, that's going to disturb your sleep even more. But if you're listening, that's fine. That's fine. So they are overwhelmed.
The first thing is go to sleep.
First thing is just pause and watch the rest of it tomorrow. Just meditate and go to bed. The second thing is, well, there is so much. Where do I start? Well, I mean, the very first basic step and the most important thing that we all have to incorporate in our lives, like the way that we brush our teeth every morning and every night, is gratitude. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. It's a buzzword. Everybody talks about it, but honestly, it is the most important thing that can put you in a better vibration immediately. So think about what you have. We have so much. If you're watching or listening to this, you have your ears, you have your eyes, you can see, you can read, you understand, and your body, the roof that you have, everything that you have. Like, think about the things that you already have. We always want more, and there's nothing wrong with that. I always want much more than what I have. But come to the present moment. What are the things that you're grateful for? And do that practice every day, every single day. Don't miss that. It is going to make you feel much better. And then come up with
I think gratitude is one of those things that I think people really marginalize, but I think you're 100% right. If you could close off and or start the day with gratitude, I think that is critical. And one of the things that I want to do is close off the podcast with gratitude and say that I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And we could probably go on for hours talking around these conversations. If somebody wanted to find a little bit more about you and locate you, I know we're next door to each other, so to speak, in good old Canada. How would they find you? What's the best spot to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I appreciate you as well. Speaking of gratitude, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. Thank you so much. I enjoyed the conversation. And yes, I could go on and on for hours and hours. So I'm on almost all social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, under my first name and last name, Helia Oghani. And I would love to help anyone who...
Your chosen first name and last name.
What's that?
Your chosen first name.
My chosen first name. I didn't change my last name, but my first name.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go.
Yes.
That's amazing. Well, definitely a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us today and sharing with the audience. I think it's very important for people to get the mindset right. That's why this is called the Money, the Mindset, and the Mentoring Podcast. We'll see you guys on the next one.